Hello? Alright. I just wanted to do this before I go away for a little bit for the weekend. I just wanted to do the castling. So I'm just gonna add some function here that helps me to do it, so I don't have to write the code twice. So we're gonna just go through and look for patterns. And just open up vanilla. So one thing we need are the attacks, which is let's go to types and we'll create a new export type interface attack. Call it chest attack. It'll be piece. It'll be row and column. So this will be chess attack, an array of them. So castle attacks. So the first thing, so we're going to start looking in a certain direction. So that'll be either a plus or negative number. Let's call it rook. We're gonna need the king. We need the controller. Chess controller. Castling. Okay, we need to add more arguments. So there's controller, attacks, the direction. So we're doing the king side, so it's 1. Direction is to the right. And then the king is this. Next we need to move all of this logic. If we have a rook, blockers, this will be let's just see what we need for args. king, rook, blockers. I'll return an array here. We'll return an empty array here. Excuse me. Here we'll say so this is piece. This is king. Rook. CD king. Rook. So what we're gonna do is we'll do movements, push, controller, attacks, and this is the queen's direction, so it's gonna be -1. Alright, cool. So we need to actually use these. So we're going to say plus s direction, column plus equals direction, and if column d0 is less than or equal to column, and column is less than 8. Make sure it's in range. So the first thing we want to do is find the rook. We'll find the rook by starting at the tile next to the king and going one by one, seeing if there's anything in the way. Eventually we'll find a rook that hasn't moved, so that potential blocker becomes the rook. If we find the rook and there were basically no pieces between the two, then we're going to we need to make sure, so we need to know our destination. So there's the king destination, which is a type that doesn't exist yet. Where's movement? Export. We'll call this interface cell piece so that it extends cell, but condition has piece. And then we'll do CA curly brace cell piece, and then we no longer need this, it's redundant, and then we'll replace it in here. Cell piece, and then the rook destination. There's another cell piece. So we'll say cell piece. We have it. It's already imported. This is cell piece. So the idea here is you write the two targets. So this is where the king goes. And for this one, the piece is going to be the king. Actually, he's going to take not cell pieces. Just cells. And so this is queen side, this is king side. So for a queen side castle, the king goes to column, row, row. Column is 0, 1, 2. And the rook is row this dot row, column 3. Similarly, here the row is this dot row, column is, the king will go over to 6. And then the rook is row this dot row, column is 5. And 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright. So this will become rook destination. King destination. So be rook dot. I'll just do king destination dot row, king destination dot column, king destination dot row, king destination dot column. So what we're doing here, we're going to see if the two tiles that we're trying to move to are blocked or not. And that they're not blocked by the king and the rook. If they're not blocked, then we can I think so I could reduce the nesting. I think I'll do this and do return empty array. Just gonna invert all this logic here. So let's just mark everything that we're doing. See if anything is between king and the rook. And the rook has not moved. See if we can actually move to the spot. The spots. And finally, we need to see if the king passes through an attack. Isn't castling illegal in anti-chess? It is illegal in anti-chess. Right now, I'm just fixing, I realized there's so many bugs with castling, so I decided to redo it. In anti-chess, I need to add a new, I'll just do it right now. If we look at our variants, we go to anti-chess. This is the last one we did, so it'll be the last one here. We basically just gotta mark I think we don't look when it's attacks only, we don't get that. So we can do filter movement dot castle. Get rid of the castles for anti-chess. Consider doing something similar. So this one in particular is looking through all the movements and only picking the ones that are indeed attacks. And so the castling wouldn't come up. Castling wouldn't be found. So this should be enough to remove castling for anti-chess. Hopefully. We'll find out when we test it. Oh yeah, it's a good question. And welcome back. So we basically need to see, so the king needs to go from one place to another place, and on its way there, we need to check every single tile if there's an attack. If there's an attack on any of those tiles, then we can't do it. So we kind of need a way to go through and find those. So we'll just do a for loop and do let column equal the king dot column column, and we need to figure out a different direction. Direction to target. So we just need to figure out what way we're moving. And the best way to do that is going to be taking the king dot column, minusing the king destination dot column. And let's just think about that. So if the kings, I think it's actually backwards. So basically if the destination where we're trying to go is bigger than the king, then the subtraction will result in a positive value. We'll create a function called getSign, and we'll say const get sign equals input number. It's going to be input divided by math.adds input. Now, the only risk I think is, what if the king is already at its target? So we need to skip out of this little bit of the direction to target 0 essentially. So if the column is not equal to king destination.column, then we're going to do column plus equals direction to target. Okay. I feel like it's possible there's a better way to. There's just so many checks to make sure castling is possible. This also needs to be times direction. Alright, actually we need to do direction is greater than 0. I was gonna write the wrong calculation here, just to get it formatted. So this is just the column and the row is where we show the actual marker to say where we can go. And so if it's saying that we need to go to the right, that means we need to add 2, but we don't want to go further than the rook if the rook is right next to us. And right now we're actually kind of handling with like chess 960 as well. That's what makes the castling even more complicated. Chess 960. So the king column, so if the direction, if we're going to the right, then yes, we do +2. And we don't want to go further than the rook. So we're going to take the minimum there. And this one's going to be max, and it's going to be -2. Okay, and then for this one, let's open the debugger. Yeah, we actually had a lot since yesterday. I don't know if you caught anything earlier. But we have 10 games now. And we have music. Hopefully the volume of everything is good. So now we want to see const attack equals attacks dot find and attack whose column equals column and an attack whose row equals king dot row. If there is an attack, then we just return empty. Okay. So I want to make it easy to test this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the variants. What am I going to do? Go into the chess controller. Look at the default board. Change the back row. We're going to get rid of these pieces. And we're going to replace them with null. Get out of 960. Vanilla. I also... We don't want the queen. And then let's just get rid of the pawns while we're at it. Alright. Can we castle? Can't castle. Okay, let's see how far we get. 10 games a lot, the rules for castling are different for vanilla versus just 9. Yes, they are different. Is there a variable to keep track of what variation you're playing? So yes, so the rules are kind of different. If you think about them in a more abstract way, they're kind of the same. The main idea being there's no piece between them, neither has moved, and the pieces that the king passes over and lands on are not under attack. And so if you just think about, it doesn't really matter where the king is or the rook is. If you just look at all the squares between the king and the rook, you find a rook that hasn't moved. There are no pieces between them. And then look at all the pieces that the king is passing over and going to, see if they're under attack. After looking at all those conditions, it'll work for vanilla or 960. Apparently something is not written correctly. But I just tried to make this code super usable, so it's probably just some silly bug. But that's why I created this easy debug state. So I can just go to chess. Make this. And the thing that makes the games easier, I mean, as we start to add rules, we start to see patterns. So like we try to figure out different ways that we can override certain rules. So in some of the variants, we'll go through some of them. So we just, for vanilla, there's no extra rules. We just put the name. But for King of the Hill, we just add a new win condition. The win condition being, if any of the middle 4 pieces are a king, we figure out which king it is, and that's the winner. For Horde, it's just when we make a new game, the board resets differently. I made a special type of pawn because these Horde pawns can move 2 spaces on their first 2 moves, but also we have to update the pawn logic in general so that these pawns can move. These pawns don't move 2 on their first turn, but these pawns do. Same with these don't move 2 on their first turn. Chess 960 is just a matter of figuring out a new board state. So we figured out like a function to do random board states. First we position the king, then we find positions for the 2 rooks, then we position the 2 bishops on opposite colors, and then we just throw the other pieces wherever. Because those are the only, those 4 pieces at the end have no, or 3 pieces at the end have no restrictions on where they need to go. They can go anywhere. And then I just clone the side of the board, both. For atomic chess, I just added this concept of atomic pieces. And so an atomic piece just takes a regular piece's movements and just adds new captures around. So when it does capture, it initiates more captures and it captures everything around it. When you promote, you get an atomic piece, and there's a new game state where if there's kings that are missing, you can stalemate or you could lose. We added double move chess, which you can, now we can set how many turns each player can take. The person going first takes 1 turn, then from there on it's 2 turns. And we again detect missing kings because you can capture kings in 2 move chests. There's also 3 move chests. We have 3 check chests. If you get 3 checks, you win. And so we add this detection here. And it draws how many checks that you've gotten. There's the racing kings, and we actually, if the king is at the end, then it wins. We had to add some illegal moves, some new illegal moves. So in this game state, you can't put the king in check. No king can ever be in check for this game. And then anti-chess, the game state, you win if you have no legal movements left. So stalemating is the win state. So that's what this is detecting. And then to your point, we have to add like a filter for castling. Basically, we have to detect, is there an attack anywhere on the board? If there's an attack anywhere on the board, then the piece that you're trying to move can only do attacks. And then when you promote, you have the option to also promote to a king of the same color. So those are all the base rules altered with these additional rules for these different games. So some of them, yeah, there's variables. Some of them, it's just like these special configurations that like filter things even more or change the output at certain points. So I wanted to put a breakpoint. I hope that answers your question or your observation. Yeah, I had to change your idea from yesterday for the pawns having 0 moves, they can move twice, because horde chess, it just didn't work for it, so I generalized it. When I made the horde piece, this is a horde pawn. Horde pawn. So like I made pawns take another function, and I'll probably change this in the future. But basically, it determines how many move, if it can move 2. Just it takes a function if it can move 2, if that function returns true. And since I do keep track of how many moves still for every single piece, so that did help for this particular case. But I couldn't just use it straight up for the general case. I went back to seeing if you're in the first 2 rows or not, then you can move 2. That was the easy case, and then adding this for the horde. So yeah. Close others, and we're gonna find castle. I'll click on this. So what side are we trying to do right now? We should be able to do both, but just so I know, direction is 1, so we're trying to do kingside castle. Do we find a rook is the question. We do find the rook. Are there pieces blocking? Nothing is blocking, which is good. Okay, it looked like something was blocking. Let's try it again. Let's put a breakpoint here. That's as far as we've gotten so far. It is indeed empty. breakpoint here, see if we ever get here. Okay, so we never get there. Is this variable correct? There's blockers. Oh, we have the wrong logic. Just completely wrong logic. Not blockers, dot length. We should only stop if there is a blocker. We should stop if there's no rook, stop if there's a blocker, stop if there's an attack. Okay. Turn that off. Okay, cool. So we can do this. They go to the wrong spot, that's fine. And we do have an undo button. Okay, so they both go to the wrong spot. That's fine. I know what the issue is. Okay, because this is the queen side. You know what? I just need to change this line. Nice. Nice. And then one thing I could do, I can move this, and see, I shouldn't be able to castle, right? So if I move this, I should not be able to castle, right? But if I move this, if I move this, I should be able to castle again. Excellent. So one thing I could try doing is go to the back row and just put the rook here. I don't know why I thought that would do something. That works. That works. We'll move the rook closer. So, okay, so there should be something here. Should be a tile here, but there's not. I think that I added the remove illegal moves. Could have sworn there was some logic here related to castle. Where did I use that? Oh, here. Remove self-captures. And then one more thing I want to see. What if the king is right next to the rook? Okay. Excuse me. So we need to fix that. I imagine it's happening at the filtering. We can verify it really quick by going to castle. No, okay. So this is queen side. Find the rook immediately. Excellent. There should be no blockers. Great. Direction to target. Oh, I'm under attack. Of course. So it is working. It is working. The problem is I need to move this. I need to move this. There it is. So one other one. So they're right next to each other in this case. Let's try that they are two-way. Learn my lesson this time, hopefully. Get him out of here. Cool. All right. Let's try to restore everything. Go to chess controller. Go to new game. Great. Finally got castling working. Excellent. All right. So the next variation of chess would allow, or at least like I would unlock a large set of chess variations if I could allow the user to start adding pieces essentially randomly. In order to do that, we need to track which pieces are currently captured. And I think that like tracking which pieces are captured should just be vanilla. And it should probably just show them over here always, no matter what variation. I added this sidebar here for some games that might need it. So for example, 3-check chess. So you might every time you check, you get +1. They have the wrong back. Sorry about that. I didn't order these right. The back row is rook, knight, bishop, queen, king, bishop, knight, rook. Okay. Fix back row. There's actually another viewer earlier who asked me to make a very simple bot. And so I made it so that if you move, you play with bot, the bot will start making moves as well. And it's completely random. It's not logical at all. Wonder if you could do some version of Buckhouse. Very complicated, involve 2 boards. Four players. Interesting. Chess variant is play of 4 players divided at 2 teams, 2 players each. Allied players work together to checkmate someone from the other side or make them run out of time. Buckhouse is amusing and exciting. Siamese chess with 2 teams of 2. Buckhouse is very challenging. How to play. While most of the standard chess rules are still applied to Buckhouse, you need to understand a few crucial. To play the 2 teams, 2 players each. When playing over the board, 2 chessboards used are set side by side to be set together, so they're opposite sides. Partner's board is also easily seen next to your own. Where during, okay. Capturing is one of the most fun and thrilling aspects. Remember that players from the same team has different colors. Players from the same team are different colors. But once you capture one of your opponent's pieces, you give them to your partner. A teammate can keep them in a reserve later at any point. Use them, put them. Okay, I've heard of variations very similar to this. I mean, Crazy House is fairly similar. For the bot, you could connect to Stockfish if you want to. Yeah, so that's one idea for sure. If there's like a Stockfish API, so like one of the things that I think would be really helpful in the README, I would want to be able to convert this board to some kind of save state. And I know that there's like a common format for chess. And if I could generate that, it's just like characters, just a string of like the whole board and all the pieces where they are. If there's an en passant, if there's king, queen, castling on either side, how many moves it's been, which I don't track. I don't keep track of how many total board moves there's been. I don't keep track of how many moves there's been since a capture / pawn movement, which are both 2 other endgame states. I'm just gonna put that here. I'll put it. Stockfish. There's 2 things I like about the bot AI. First thing is I can actually beat it because it just moves randomly. The second one is it's super fast. I don't have to wait for it to react at all. Just instantaneous feedback. So it's perfect. But yeah, I do think that the variation you're talking about is possible. I think if I created Crazy House, yeah, the 50 move rule for sure. If I did Crazy House, I could do Bug House. I'll put it on the list. Go to the index. Because Crazy House is a 1v1, and when you capture a piece, you can play that piece. Whereas Bug House is 2v2, but you take the piece from your board and put it on the other board. So it is a bit more involved, but if we could do Crazy House, we could do Bug House for sure. But yeah, I just wanted to appreciate you showing up and giving me ideas. But I did just want to pop in and do the castling really quick, because I'm gonna go away for the weekend and I didn't want to be thinking about it all weekend. I wanted to just have it done. But while I'm away, I will just be thinking about solving this problem of so the general rule that we're trying to create is this ability to drop in new pieces. And once we would also need to track captured pieces. And once we do those, we'll be in a really good place to do Crazy House and Bug House. But I will be back on Monday. Seems like you usually come on later, so my goal would be on Monday to try to set up some of these, try to do this 50 moves thing, try to do the ability to drop in pieces, tracking captured pieces, so that hopefully by the end of the day I would do bug house, crazy house. Just give me a second. Alright, I gotta head out, y'all. Have a good night or a good day. It's gonna take me days. I just have a lot of experience. 10 years. I've done a fair amount of canvas stuff too. But yeah. Hopefully later on Monday we'll be able to do the crazy house bug house. And maybe you can join. But yeah, I don't really have like a good answer for how I do it quickly. I kind of see programming as like an art. I feel like people who've done it a long time can generate new code the same way like an artist can paint a new canvas or something along those lines. That's the way I see it, at least. So it's just like it's just a craft you have to hone. There was probably, there was a point where this would take me days. But it's like these problems, I see them a lot. I've seen them so many times. And I just have like a process for thinking through the code. Yeah. I don't know if that helps you, but yeah. It's a good question. I'll have to think about it more. But yeah. Alright, I gotta head out. Thanks for joining.